Welcome to Summarize Science. Today, we're looking at a paper that asks a profound question for our modern age. The author is dead, but what if they never lived? This fascinating new study explores if people can tell the difference between poetry written by a human and poetry generated by artificial intelligence. Here's how the researchers set up the experiment. They took existing Czech poems, cut them after the first stanza, and then had the AI model GPT for write a continuation. They then presented both the AI's version and the original human-written second stanza to over 100 native Czech speakers. The participants' task was simple: guess whether the poem was written by a human or by AI. So, could they tell the difference? The results were clear: absolutely not. On average, people were only correct about 45.8% of the time, which is actually worse than random chance. This shows that AI has become incredibly convincing, even in a complex, low-resource language like Czech, which has far less training data than English. Interestingly, participants' experience with poetry or a literary background made no difference in their ability to guess correctly. But here's where the study gets truly mind-bending. It wasn't just about guessing. Participants also rated how much they liked the poems and their other qualities. And this revealed a powerful bias against AI. When people believed a poem was written by a human, they rated it as significantly more likable and imaginative. Conversely, when they thought an AI wrote it, they gave it much lower scores. But now for the big twist. When you ignore what people thought and look at the actual author, the AI-generated poems were rated equally or even more favorably than the human ones. For example, participants on average rated the AI's poems as making more sense than the poems written by humans. So, people preferred the AI's work, but only when they didn't know it was from an AI. Let's recap the important points from this study. First, people are generally unable to distinguish AI-written poetry from human-written poetry. Second, there is a strong psychological bias where we automatically devalue art if we think it was made by an AI. And third, the AI's actual performance was on par with, or even superior to, the human poets in this experiment, according to the participants' own ratings. What does this all mean for the future of art and creativity? The researchers suggest that our enjoyment of a poem is deeply interconnected with our belief in the author behind it. The author may be theoretically dead, as some literary critics argue, but for the average reader, it seems essential that they once actually lived. Thanks for watching Summarize Science.